Hey, well, Happy New Year, everybody. 2022 is long and gone, and it's now time to take on 2023. Listen, who doesn't love a new year, right? It's a new opportunity to have a fresh start, to turn your life around, to do something new. And listen, whether 2022 was terrible or 2022 was great, I'm sure all of us want an even better 2023. So today I want to share with you 5 areas of your life that you need to focus on to make 2023 your best year ever. Hey everybody, welcome back to the To Be Men podcast, where we come together as men to encourage and challenge one another to be better. Better husbands, better fathers, better friends, better brothers, better men. On this week's episode of the podcast, we're talking about 5 different areas of our life that we need to focus on to have a better 2023. But listen, just because this episode's coming out in preparation for the new year doesn't mean that that's the only time that it's useful. We can decide to shift our life and give these areas the attention they deserve any time of the year. We don't have to wait for the New Year's to make a change. If you're listening to this in the middle of the year, you can start today. And actually, if you are listening to this in the middle of the year, you're actually kind of have an advantage over the rest of us, right? Because all of us right now, we're all making our New Year's resolutions. And come on, let's be honest, we all know exactly how New Year's resolutions go, right? And that's actually kind of the main reason I made the shift from resolutions to goals and priorities. See, I used to be the guy that would make 100 resolutions every single year, and by February, 99 of them were forgotten. But a few years back, I started to make the shift to goals instead, things that I could track and have a deadline for, and that made all the difference. Now, instead of having all these random, immeasurable resolutions to chase, I had actual dates and results to meet. Now, don't get me wrong, I still struggle achieving all of my goals for the year, but I'm closer to where I want to be than I was, 3 or 4 years ago. But it's that continual struggle to accomplish everything I wanted to achieve everything that I had set out to achieve that actually made my mind shift towards this new model that I'm starting this year and that I'm sharing with all of you today. I started realizing that setting goals was a great first step, but the only way I'd fully realize these goals was if I ingrained them in my day-to-day life. See, because I would spend all this time and energy chasing down one achievement or another, and I would accomplish it, but once I did, I was like, well, now what? What's next? What do I do now? And so I started to learn that it wasn't really so much about the goal as it was about the process and the lifestyle change that it took to reach that goal. Then when I ingrained that into my mind, well, then I realized I could go further than I'd ever gone before. And so what I'm doing this year, and what I want to share with all of you all, is that instead of having 7 to 10 random goals, good goals, but random goals throughout my life for the year, I'm going to prioritize 5 areas of my life that will lead to more than any one goal ever could. So here they are, right? In no specific order, no specific importance. They're all important. 5 areas of your life to prioritize and focus on for a better year and a better life. Number 1, spirit. Most of you guys know I'm a pastor, and so this should be of no surprise to anybody, right? You should all be thinking, wait a minute, you're a pastor, shouldn't you already be prioritizing your spirit? Yes, I should be, and I am. But that doesn't mean I've arrived, right? Just because I'm a pastor doesn't mean I know everything there is to know about my spirit. It doesn't mean that my spiritual life is at a peak. It's not. It's something that I want to continue to grow in. While I do spend time feeding my spiritual life and giving it the attention it needs, like I said, I haven't figured it out. It's a continual learning experience for me. And it should be for all of you. It should be for all of us. Now listen, I'm not here to tell you that you need Jesus and that you should be reading your Bible every single day. You do and you should be, but that's not what this podcast is about. We can talk about that on another time, and I've got some great information and resources about that I would love to share with you guys. So let me know if that's something that you'd be interested in hearing. Now, for me, that's what it means to prioritize my spiritual life, right? To spend more time in prayer and fasting and reading the Word and spending time with Jesus and with God and just being immersed in what the Bible says. That's what it means to give priority to my spirit. Now, for you guys, it can mean a 1,000 other things, right? Whatever spiritual practice you prescribe to, you need to make sure that it is a priority in your life if you want a better year and if you want a better life. Right? Whether that means spending more time meditating or more time in nature or whatever it is, you need to put your spirit as a high priority in your life because your spirit will reflect outwards into every other area of your life. Whatever's going into your spirit will reflect into every other area of your life. Now, on that same note, right? Number 2, your mind. The second area you need to prioritize in your life if you want a better year and a better life is your mind. And actually, I almost merged these two into one because they're so closely related. But then I realized that your mind is so much more than just your thoughts and your emotions. It is all that, right? But your mind is also your wisdom, your knowledge. It's what separates the men from the boys, right? It's your mind that helps you develop discipline, self control, perseverance, and endurance. If you're going to have a better year and by result, a better life, then you need to prioritize your mind. As a man thinks, so he is. Right? So give attention to what you're thinking about. What is your thoughts process? What are you spending all this time thinking about? Is it your hobbies? Is it negative thoughts? Is it positive thoughts? Think about what you're thinking about. And again, on that same note, make sure you guys are reading. Make sure you're reading something that is of value, something that is feeding your mind. Instead of binging every single new show this year, make a goal of I'm going to read 20 books, right? We're talking about goals, areas of focus. Okay, if the area of focus is my mind, if the priority is my mind, then the goal is to read more books to feed my mind. Instead of spending more time scrolling on Instagram or TikTok or wherever you are, go learn a new instrument. Learn something new, challenge your mind, and you will be miles ahead in your life. Number one, your spirit. Number two, your mind. Number three, your body. Now, here's the one thing on this list that is a big priority for me this year. They're all priorities, obviously, but this one is actually a big one for me. And while I have some minor experience in physical health, I am by no means an expert. I'm nowhere near experienced enough to talk about this as much as I would like to. However, that doesn't mean I don't know enough to say something, to say that it should be an area of focus for all of us. We need to be strong. We need to be healthy, and not just to look good and to live longer, although those are great reasons to be strong and healthy. No, we need to be strong and healthy so that we can live our life to the fullest. Now that I'm a dad, I'm realizing that so much more. I'm realizing just how important it really is to be strong physically, to be healthy physically. My daughter wants to run around and play and kick the ball and run up and down the stairs and do all these things with her dad. And if I'm too out of shape to do any of that, then what am I doing? Right? Not only am I missing out on these great memories and these great opportunities with my daughter, but I'm also robbing her of the opportunity to bond with her dad. So whatever it is that you do, you need to realize how important it is to be physically strong and healthy. So whether that's strength training or running or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or some other form of a martial art, you need to be more active. And like we talked about earlier, right? What feeds your spirit, what feeds your mind comes out. Well, what you feed your body is just as important as what you feed your spirit and your mind. Now, like I said, I'm a novice when it comes to all of this. I'm starting to dabble into it, and I'm interested in it, and I want to learn so much more, not only about fitness and training, but about nutrition. But I'm by no means an expert. However, I do have a friend who is hands down one of the most fit, healthy guys I know. So I'll make sure I bring him on the podcast to talk to you guys more about this if that's something that you're interested in. All right. So spirit, mind, body. Number 4, your finances. Your finances. The fourth area of focus to have a better life needs to be your finances. And I got to be honest with you, I wish somebody had told me this when I was younger, right? I wish somebody had told me how important it was to be fiscally responsible when I was a late teen, a young man, right? Late teens, early 20s. I wish somebody had told me that. Now, granted, look, we all know money doesn't buy happiness. Of course, we all know that's true. However, it does help manage some of the stresses in life. Again, one of the biggest areas of stress in life for most people and for men in particular is our money. And yet too many of us shy away from talking about it or from getting the help that we actually need. And that's actually one of the main reasons I wanted to start this podcast, is because I wanted to create an environment and a culture where men can be open with one another and be accountable to one another so that we can learn from each other and go further, faster together. This is another area of life that I'm versed in, but nowhere near an expert. For that, actually, I've got a really good friend of mine, Thomas, over at TMH Financial Coaching. And I'll make sure and I invite him onto the podcast at some time to share more about why it's so important and how we can be better with our money. And lastly, but certainly not least, number 5, relationships. If you want to have a better year and a better life, you need to prioritize your relationships. All of us are in some sort of relationship, whether we realize it or not, right? Most of us, we're like, what? We're husbands, we're fathers, we're friends, we're coworkers, we're employees, we're bosses, we're neighbors, we're in relationship. And if you want to be in a fruitful, healthy relationship, then you need to give it the attention and focus that it truly deserves. See, this is something that I've been learning more and more as I get older. I want to make sure that my wife and my daughters get the attention that they need and that they deserve from me. And so I prioritize that relationship. Same thing with my friends and with God. For me, right? That's an important relationship. And so I'm going to prioritize that relationship. I'm going to prioritize spending time with them. I'm going to prioritize telling them that I care about them, that I love them. I'm going to prioritize them. Maybe your relationships are different, right? Maybe you don't have a spouse yet, but you have a girlfriend, or maybe you want to get closer to your parents, or you want to be a better friend. Whatever the relationship is, if it's important to you, then you need to prioritize it and give it the focus it deserves if you want a better year and a better life. That's it, right? 5 areas of focus to have a better year and a better life: your spirit, your mind, your body, your finances, and your relationships. What do you guys think? Did I miss something? Did I have them out of order? Again, they weren't really in any particular order, but is there one that you would put higher or lower on the list? What are your priorities in life, right? As you're getting ready for this new year and you're trying to write down your goals and your resolutions, what are the priorities that will envelop and that will connect to all of those goals and resolutions? Let me know, right? If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and comment down below, or if you're listening, just go ahead and follow me over on Instagram at John Portillo and let me know on one of the posts. What are your priorities and what are you focusing on to have a better year and a better life? Well, guys, I hope you have a great New Year's, and I'll catch you on the next episode of the To Be Men podcast.